Well, hello everyone that was able to join us. I want to welcome you back to ACS 151. Thank you for being on time and for joining the live session. Like I said, the last 2 weeks, I think being here and being a part of the live session and hearing the discussion and having the interactivity is just of a great benefit to you in terms of what you take away from the session. So not a lot to talk about in terms of the agenda. I'm going to go over a couple of announcements and just remind you of some things that I've seen in terms of trends over the past unit and some reminders on assignments. And then I'm going to turn it over to our guest speaker. So just really quick, a couple of things to remember. The deadlines are going to continue to always be Wednesday nights at 11:59 p.m. and Sundays at 11:59 p.m. And I had a couple of emails this week with questions asking about if those deadlines were for each unit or each module. And so the easiest way to explain it is just that you can almost sort of ignore units altogether because they don't always perfectly line up with 1 week. Sometimes a unit will last 2 weeks, sometimes a unit will last 1 week. You really just need to think about how every module will last one deadline. So one module will start on a Sunday and end on a Wednesday night, and then that next module will start on a Wednesday and end on a Sunday night. And so you can sort of ignore the units. The only reason that we have units is that they're grouped, those lessons are grouped together by theme or by topic. So just remember every module has a deadline and it's either Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. or Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Additionally, if you're not able to join the live session, for those of you who are listening to this recording later today, you must complete the alternative assignment for participation points. It's not enough just to watch the video. You have to fill out the worksheet, ask the questions, and complete the assignment so that I know that you got all of the information that everyone did who was able to attend the live session. So we're going to get started in just a second by turning it over to our guest speaker. I just want to remind everyone that is joining us live that keep your microphones muted on your end. And if you have a question during the presentation, you can feel free to type it in the chat box, and Sandy can get to it when she has a break maybe in what she's talking about. And then if you would hold most of your questions until our collaborative discussion questions come up after her presentation, then that's the best time for you to type in the chat box your responses to the questions that we pose or any additional questions or comments that you want to make. And that is how you will earn your participation points by joining during the live session and participating in the discussion. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to turn it over to Sandy McCarthy, and she's going to come join us up front and begin her presentation. So just remember, keep your microphones muted until the end of her time. Sandy, do you want to come on up?
So I want to make sure you hit the record button.
Yep.
That's all I want to know.
Yep, it's recording.
All right. So hi, everyone. I'm Sandy McCarthy, one of the full-time librarians, and I'm going to minimize our little camera here so it gets out of my view a ways. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through one of the activities you do. Actually, I'm going to walk you through the steps of the sources you need to use. And there's actually an expanded activity you're going to be doing, an assignment that's going to be going back to these three career websites that I'll be reviewing with you. So it's going to provide in-depth questions that you're going to go back to and get some answers with. So I'm going to pull up mine. Hang on here, I'm going to go to another slide. So actually we have a guide for our class, ACS 151, and I have it minimized at the bottom. So I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to pull up, actually open up the questions here of the part that I am going through. And you can watch. Let's give it a second here. Should have opened these a little further. So this one is going to be the one you're going to hand in after the fact. I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to use this one right here. So what we're doing is I'm going to be going over, let me change these all over and move them. All right, what I wanted to do is go back here. So we're going to be looking at, you've taken a test and you've identified some careers. You're now going to be going out to looking at some career sites, high quality career sites. They've been around for a while actually. One is Occupational Handbook. This was always a print book, was not around when I was in college. This would have been a great resource for myself, for anyone. From print book, it's actually gone out to the web. It's still in print. The web is great. It's more up to date. It's faster. And they have a lot more highlights as far as careers. Then we'll look at ONET. And we're going to look at the third one is the Career One Stop from doing it. So let me go there first. So I'm going to click on the link that's actually here, Occupational Outlook Handbook. The activity sheet you have, it gives you a direct link. You will see it up on my screen here that you can do bls.gov.ooh. The OOH is your Occupational Outlook Handbook. You can Google Occupational Outlook Handbook. It's going to get you to the site. But mainly this, why we go here, it gives you duties, the education, training, pay, the outlook for hundreds of jobs, occupations, I should say, that are actually out there. This is by the government, Department of Labor, and they update this constantly. So they don't just wait every year. There's content that's put in here every time. So before we get started, it's going to be easy. We're going to look in a search box at the top right-hand side, but I want to highlight a few things that you're going to find. So you should know your career already that you're looking for in here. You're going to use 2 careers when you actually do the one activity that's going to have 10 questions that you're going to answer. But down below, you're going to have these highest paying, fastest growing, and most new jobs. Highly suggest not necessarily looking at the highest paying. I was out here, I go out I look at this constantly. There's always a change. There's always something I learn new from these sites. You know, they're highlighting, a lot of these are all doctors. I was like, okay. And I look down and it's just giving by salary. Something to look at really is the previous screen. They were talking about the fastest growing or projected growth. That's extremely important to look at. When you're looking at your career, and it's going to be highlighted when we look at it individually, this is extremely important. You want something that's growing. You want to find a job once you complete your education. So this is going to tell you that growth. It gives you a median salary here too. And then you'll have the occupation here on the left-hand side. And then the other one I like, it's really interesting, most new jobs. And it gives you the career, the actual occupation, and it gives you what kind of growth is going on from here. So, and you'll notice a projection here of 2016 to 2026. They're talking about the future, what kind of growth based on the population. And a lot of them are in the health industry as we look at that list. So let's go back. I could have started my search from that page. All we care for is this box here in the blue shaded area. And I love picking on pharmacy technology. So it's our pharmacy technician program on campus. You will be searching, and actually it's under pharmacy technician, so it redirected me, which is great. I pick on this career. I love it. You can come here on campus. You're going through the program within a year, work in the field. The pharmacist is the next step. You can continue your education. You can go on and become a pharmacist if that's what you want to do. So I look at these kind of growth things. So I selected this career intentionally. So looking at this site, I was out here yesterday reviewing again, and I noticed what they added new was a video. One of the other sites will also include a video. So they're trying to give you a day in the life of pharmacy technician. This is great. You want to determine this is really a career for you, so that's helpful. The summary page talks about salary. It'll be up on the tabs. We'll look at that in a second. What kind of education you need. The growth and employment change. It's going to give you these numbers. Like I said, again, you look at the growth as far as employment. You want to be able that you're marketable and can move around pretty much anywhere and find yourself in a job. So what do they do? Work environment. I'm going to pick on these tabs. What are the duties? Kind of work environment. It's not just in a drugstore. You could be at the hospital. You can be in a private center, a government site, a grocery store. It's all different places. We have pharmacies everywhere, which means it's a great job to be portable. It's one of the reasons why I picked my own profession. There are libraries everywhere, different types, but basically you could be very mobile and find yourself employed again as you move. So how to become one? It will tell you the kind of training. We have the training here on our campus. I think it's actually just a year program and you're out with your certificate and then start looking for jobs. I know that they recruit from our program here on campus. I know that our instructor, Dr. Samuels, is tied in with U of M's hospital system. So it's a wonderful program as far as, you know, what's going on and what's required of you, what kind of license you might need, certification by the board, which you do, and listing basic qualifications down at the bottom. Pay, we all are interested in our pay. This program, for being a one-year study, to be honest with you, has a wonderful median pay. You will never start at the high end, maybe depending where you find yourself employed, but it will give you that kind of basic pay, and then over time, the growth within that field. It's comparing it to some of the other health professions, and you can see where it falls. Okay, so you find that there. Job Outlook, again, give you some numbers. Again, look for something. When you're doing your career search, pay attention to what kind of a percentage growth it is, and hopefully it's not a negative number. If it is, start looking at alternate careers that you have listed for yourself. All right, state and area data. One of the other sites gives us a little better information than what I found here specific to Michigan. So I'm kind of going to just glance over this, that it actually is here, but one of the two other sites I show you is going to do that. And then they have a similar careers. Gives you a link back to the Occupational Outlook Handbook, but it gives you a basic definition, and it still gives you a salary range on the right-hand side. So you're going to look at that piece too. And notice the growth. So I was saying, so our pharmacy technicians, they were showing somewhere around starting, I don't know, somewhere mid-20s, upper 20,000 a year, 30,000. Becoming a pharmacist, the next level up, going back to school and getting your education, has a tremendous growth increase. And there are just as many pharmacists as pharmacy tech positions too, so you'll find that. There's additional information I kind of glance over. It just points you to associations that are related to this profession, and that's useful too. So they can do it. All right, any questions before I move on this Occupational Outlook Handbook? I'm just going to look at the chat box for a second. All right, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to leave this open. I'm going to go back to my guide, and we're going to go to ONET. So ONET, let me click on my link. Same thing, everyone. I mean, you can type in onetonline.org and get here. You can go to Google and type it in, and you're going to find, you'll find the link that actually comes up to you. So this site too is actually done by the government. They have some 900 occupations that are listed here. They are also by the Department of Labor, and they're part of the Employment and Training Administration, and they've created this ONET, and they complement each other. So we're wondering too, one of your questions might be, well, why am I going to 3 sites? One site gives you an answer to a question that the other one does not. So that's why I make sure you're going to all 3. If you can't find your answer in Occupational Outlook Handbook, most likely ONET or the One Career Stop site's going to give it to you. So here too, they do a lot of little bells and whistles: find occupation, advanced search, crosswalk, hot tech jobs. If you're a veteran, you've got some added content here for you. I want to be, and it starts a career. So you're coming in here knowing what you're looking for. You're going to use that same box in the top right corner, and we're picking on our same career. Pharmacy, and I'm going to type in technician and press enter. And so they have a little different layout. And so my career is right up front. It's got a bright outlook next to it. Anything with a little sunshine means there's good growth. A little green means that it's a green job and a tech job. You'll find that too. So they're trying to highlight some careers for you. So I'm just clicking on number one, the first listed. That's what I want. And so their layout is different. This page here is what they call a summary. They look at the task of what you would be doing. You can click the little plus sign, and it pops up. You can use this. They'll have the little, the fire means it's a technology that you should do, what type of technology that would be actually used in the, on the job. So that's what these little flames are going to be actually here doing it. The other piece you can do is you can expand with all 20 displayed as far as the tasks. It becomes overwhelming, as that's what they do here. And then the other, before we go on, I'm going to point out some pieces on this site. You can look at the details tab. And so now this sometimes is more useful. So for each task that you would be required to do on your job, it gives you on a percentage of like from 0 to 100%. 95% of the time you're going to receive, you know, prescriptions and you're going to fill them. So that's what this is doing when you go to the detailed. technology skills, same thing, they're going to give you that information that's going to be listed here too, although I'm not seeing it expanded, so I'm going to click. It should have expanded for me all the way down, so I'm going to do details. It's a little different. Oh, they didn't do it for those two, so I learned something new every time. This is why you come in here. So I noticed that the technology skills, they're not giving me that 0 to 100%, but as I keep scrolling, it does for the knowledge. So maybe they're not being consistent as far as doing it, and that's okay. That's it. Still gives you an idea of what's needed here for doing it. So why do I come here? It gives me even more detailed content of what this job really does and the types of skills it's looking for. So I'm going to go down, work activity, detailed work activity, work content, and here flipped it to the right-hand side, a percentage of the time. What I like about here, here's your education it's giving you here, and credentials, it's going to refer to whether you need a license, and you can click here, it's going to give you that. And I'm going to keep scrolling because, so they give you related occupations here. When you get to wages and employment trends, this is the piece that's interesting here. So my median wage across the U.S. is going to give you, $14.86 or some $30,000 a year. When you click the link that says local salary information, you get a little pop-up, and I'm going to pick on Michigan because we're in Michigan. We're in Michigan here today. Click on go, and it's giving me, so the red is Michigan's salaries compared nationally to the blue bar, which is the salary listed here. For whatever reason, Michigan is a little less than the national average. Why, I'm not sure. Sometimes it could be taken into consideration where you live in what state. So if I picked, I can't change here. I'm going to close out for a second just to let you see what's going on. We're going to pick on California. Extremely expensive to live. I was out there for a year, and it's not for me. It's a great state. And notice here that the pharmacy tax in California are paid more than the national average, and that has to do with cost of living. So you're going to find that when you look at these state information. We can stay in California. It'll still give you a highlight doing. So that's what's going to happen here is you've got some median and high. So don't think, oh, let's move to California, make more money. Realize the cost of living is going to offset what you're making as a salary, and that's what happens here. So the chart, by the way, you can do view hourly and flip it to the hour, what you would make per hour as opposed to an annual salary. And you can do that here too. So I'm going to close my little pop-up. And I get back here. The other piece I like is the state trends. And we'll retain my California. We're going to look at California. We'll go back and look at Michigan too. Click on go. And let's see how they're doing out there. They still have a growth rate. Nationally, 9%. California, 12%, just like here in Michigan. And they show the growth too within a 10-year span that's listed. So let's go back. I want to pick on my Michigan. So if you're considering moving out of state, good place to come and look. And here's my Michigan. And we have a 9% growth here in Michigan too. So there are jobs that will open up here in Michigan, and that's what we're looking for. Just going to compare. All right, so let me close that out. So that's one piece I like coming to ONET. It's going to give me that information. You're going to have a question about it as far as the yearly salary, and I think also one of your question is what would you make per month? So you're going to divide that annual salary by 12, and you're going to get a monthly income. It's going to give you that. Find jobs on the web that will come later of doing it, and then they send you to like the accreditation bodies too of what information you need. So ONET gives you more of a data, description of what's going on, but I love the wages and employment. That's probably my peak reason for why we show you here this ONET site. So I'm going to wait before I go to my last site. Anybody has any questions on here? So afterwards, the assignment's going to be these 10 questions that you're going to come back, and the answers are going to be found on this site. So my last one, my third site that we're going to go to is called the Career One Stop. I'm going to go back to my guide and click on my direct link here. And this one, and you can, same thing, same way, you can go on online and type in career one stop, you're going to come to the site. It's also done by the Department of Labor. It was another resource putting it out there for careers. And they have a bunch of different options down at the bottom too. I love the idea of workers with disabilities, worker with a criminal conviction, laid off worker, older worker. These are just areas that can kind of guide you to with information when you're looking for the occupation information. They've got some top videos, but I'll show you that also. And then they have some other information down at the bottom, some news of what's going on. So easy thing again, top box. I'm typing in my pharmacy technician, press enter. All right, and the site went through a major overhaul. I think it was last summer. And visually, it's more appealing what they had in the past. So what they did was up front, so you can ignore what's on the left-hand side. Here's our match. It's giving you a salary and number nationally of growth, which is great, it's growing. And then they give you some listings down below. So they also have the video that's listed here. And we want to go to, actually, I'm going to click on this link here. And when I go into the career information, it gives you the video listing. But on the left-hand side, they started highlighting information for you. So this site actually changed on me since last fall. They had these boxes that actually laid out on the screen. Career Outlook, it's giving me an average growth, they're saying here. You can click on the Learn More. And doesn't seem like Learn More is giving me much information here besides the Outlook. Typical training, they're just saying it's a high school or equivalent. There is a certificate you can complete, and you can click on Learn More. And actually what it's pointing me to are programs across the US. So I'm going to pick on Michigan as the state. And what it's doing is highlighting the programs that actually offer this. So listed on here at some point, we're going to find our Washington Community College. So they did also filtering, additional information listed here. This site, the one key thing I came to, but now I'm realizing the other sites kind of provided the same information. This one always gave the video. It was the only site that gave me a video on the career. Actually, I can find that information on the others too. So even though they're giving you content, I think some of it, from what I'm looking at, is almost maybe information that is listed on the previous sites already too. So when I click here, I get my little boxes. You can do a comparison of projected. They're giving you a growth over time in the US. They give you the little box of education. So they're not in great detail compared to the previous two sites. They give you your activities, knowledge, and skills, and they also give you a related occupation too. So what doing it. So this one to me, my highlight, like I said before, it's the video, but the video to me, I'm now finding it on our other sites. So they must be trying to condense back or pull back a little bit of information that maybe is a little bit of repetition that you're finding online. So it's a good source. So I'm going to stop here. I want to know if there's any questions with our 3 sites for you. What you're going to end up doing as an activity is going to be that you have, you're going to go to the 3 sites. You're going to have 2 careers. You're going to be answering questions that will become directly, you can find answers on it from Occupational Outlook Handbook and ONET. This is the 3rd site. I think those 2 will probably answer these questions that you're going to have listed for here. And I know that if you, I'm just going to put a plug in, if you're watching the video afterwards as the recording, I know that you're going to be sending me emails with 3 additional questions that you're going to have pertaining to your career, and I'll answer back to those questions too. So always give me like at least 24 hours, but I'm pretty good at answering right away. So keep that in mind. So Casey, I'm going to turn it back over to you. I'm going to hang out. I'm still here.
Oops, sorry. Thanks, Sandy. Okay, so guys, I'm back. I hope that was really helpful in terms of you transitioning from sort of having a surface level of exploration the other day into some of the careers that you might be a good match for, ones that you're interested in, to a more in-depth sort of set of resources and tools that you can tap into to really learn about the things that you're interested in and the different places that you can go to explore exactly what it might take to find yourself in those careers. It looks like Miranda had a quick question about just what was the name of the first site. Yeah, do you want to?
Oh, it's the Occupational Outlook Handbook, the OOH.
So, and Miranda, just so you know and everybody else knows, the assignment that is due on Sunday night at 11:59 p.m., you'll be revisiting all 3 of these sites to complete that worksheet. So just make sure that you're familiar with all 3 that Sandy just presented, but it's also in the course, the links to each site. You're going to be able to get back to each of these that she just navigated through, and you'll be able to take your time and kind of go through them at your own pace. So thanks, Arthur. Arthur says this was very helpful. Thanks, Arthur. So before we move on, feel free, as we're doing some of the collaborative questions, that if you do have any other additional questions that are not, that don't come up necessarily in our collaborative questions, you can type them in the chat box, and Sandy and I can answer them at any point. So what I want to do is pose a couple of questions to all of you, and so this would be the time for you to participate by answering these questions in the chat box. So before I ask collaborative question number 1, it looks like, Michelle, you asked, so the assignment that is due for Sunday is what she was talking about for these sites and the 10 questions. Yes, so right now you are wrapping up a module that is due tonight at 11:59 p.m. The next, you can always work ahead, but the next module, which opens tonight at midnight, is due Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. One of the assignments in that module, which I can just go to the browser and show you really quick, is due Sunday night, and that's the assignment that both Sandy and I are referencing. So let me just show you where it's at. So if we go to Learning Units in your Blackboard course, I'm going to kind of skip ahead. I was going to do this at the end of the presentation, but I want to make sure that everybody's clear on what you need to complete with the information that you just got. So right now you are wrapping up Unit 2, and by tonight at midnight you will have needed to complete Module 2 within Unit 2. So right now you are participating in the online meeting, or you're listening to this at home. You also need to complete your time management planning for Unit 3. And then as you get into Unit 3, you'll see that Module 1 is called Career Resources. And if you scroll down, you'll have a video to watch, you'll have another assignment to complete, but what we're talking about right now with the 10 questions is this career research worksheet. And so if I click into that assignment, you can see that it's due at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. It's worth 25 points. And I'll go ahead and just open the worksheet again so you can just see exactly what we're talking about again, okay? So you'll download this Word document, and you will use all 3 of the websites that Sandy just referenced to complete this worksheet of 10 questions. Well, multiple worksheets, sorry.
2 careers.
Yeah, with two different careers. So Michelle, if that is not clear, go ahead and let me know in the chat box, but that is the 10 questions that we're talking about, okay? And just so that there's no confusion, if you are listening to this as a recording, you are responsible for writing the 3 questions by email to Sandy as part of your alternative assignment worksheet, okay? So I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to pose some collaborative questions. Thank you, I think I got it. Okay, perfect, Michelle, awesome. And if you have any more questions, don't be afraid to ask. So collaborative question number 1 is, what is one career website you have found useful and why? And so I'd love to hear from all of you if you've used useful career websites that you want to share with the group. If not, that's okay. Sandy can share as well. I think for me, one thing that I wouldn't necessarily consider a career website, but a place that I go to explore possible connections or careers is I always use LinkedIn, and I have a profile on LinkedIn that I keep really updated. And I try to use that network to sort of help me in terms of maybe what my next steps might be in my career in terms of educational opportunities, or anything new that someone in my network might be doing that I might want to learn more about. And so that's one way that I kind of informally explore career websites, or different career possibilities, I mean, through a website. It looks like Arthur says the career websites that the speaker just showed were very informative. They certainly are. Sandy or anyone else, does anyone want to share any career websites that they've used, or resources or ways that they've researched the different careers that they might be interested in?
There's a career one called for higher ed that's like it's all the universities, and so nationally it's not Hertz. I'm going to blank with the exact name. It's a higher ed only focus, lists all jobs in Michigan.
Oh, higheredjobs.com.
That's it.
Yeah, so
That's it.
I'll type this in the chat box so you guys can see it typed, but Sandy's referencing another website that we've probably both used at one time or another. So it's called higheredjobs.com. And that website I've used frequently to search for jobs. It really covers a whole range of careers in higher education. Probably both Sandy and I could find career opportunities, from teaching or staff positions at universities to temporary jobs to, I mean, any staff member you could imagine seeing on a campus would be listed. Even online remote positions are listed on higheredjobs.com. So that's another good resource for really for careers specifically within the higher education sort of realm. So any others that folks who are on the live session want to share?
Anybody use Monster?
Yeah, has anyone used monster.com to look for job opportunities? Indeed.com, LinkedIn, yeah, absolutely. And honestly, if you don't have a LinkedIn page, I would recommend really spending some time to create a profile, because it's a great way to really quickly connect with others who are doing things that you're interested in, and it's a great way for people to see what you're doing and perhaps even ask you if you'd like to be involved in an opportunity. And Arthur just said snag a job. So is that a website, Arthur? Yes, awesome. Never heard of it.
Me neither.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
So Indeed, Monster, Snag a Job. That's a new one, Arthur. We're gonna have to check it out. The next couple of questions are gonna touch on some of these. So I'm gonna move to this one. Yeah, so the next one is, have you ever used monster.com? So has anyone on the live session ever used this? You can even just respond with a yes or a no in the chat box. Yes, Michelle? Okay, good. You actually have an account? Awesome. Good. So you probably get updates and alerts from Monster often about things that might be a match for you. I mean, the number of jobs that are listed on monster.com amazes me every time that I log on. Yeah, many alerts in your email. That can be a good thing depending on, if you're actively searching for a career, it's really nice to have someone else doing that search for you versus trying to kind of every day look for different opportunities that might be available. So the next one is LinkedIn, which I've mentioned a couple of times. If you haven't checked out LinkedIn before, I might just pull up the webpage just so you can see a visual of it. So this is what it would look like if you just landed on the homepage and needed to create an account. So if you haven't done that yet, I would highly recommend doing it. It might take me a second to remember my login credentials. So if I can't get it, perhaps the first or second try, we won't spend too much time on this, but I would encourage you to explore and create a profile so you can start connecting with others in your network. You can connect with me, you can connect with lots of other faculty members, friends, people from high school, see what they're doing now as well. No, okay. It might take me a while to remember my password.
You're like me.
On my machine, it auto logs in, but this is gonna be tough. So yeah, so let's, it looks like Arthur gave us the link to snagajob.com too. We'll check out what that looks like as well. Thanks, Arthur. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've never seen this, but it looks really neat. So It looks similar in terms of the sort of same layout or format as Monster, but I'm guessing there are different types of jobs here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a competing website. So I'll definitely check this out later. It looks really cool. Awesome. And it looks like it lists some new jobs within the area based on your location. That's really cool. Thanks, Arthur. All right, so beyond LinkedIn, how about Career Builder? This isn't one that's come up in the conversation yet, but has anybody used careerbuilder.com? Give it a second for the chat box. No? Okay. No. So maybe not one super commonly used. It might be another good one to check out. So it looks like in terms of Career Builder, not a resource I've used. Sandy, have you ever used it?
I did a long time ago.
Long
but
time
not
ago?
so much anymore.
Okay.
And just like Monster, I used to, when it first like was in this little, not as robust as it is now,
Yeah.
but I have not been to this one in a while.
Career Builder?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I haven't used Career Builder either, and it sounds like, Arthur, you have an old account with them, but most folks haven't. Might be one worth checking out, especially if as you're exploring Monster or Indeed or Snag a Job, which Arthur just recommended to us. Maybe you're not finding the same type of jobs. It might be worth going and checking out Career Builder just to see what's available there. You might find that there are different types of jobs listed than some of the ones that you're using on the other sites. And then finally, Indeed, which we've talked about a couple of times. Have folks who are on the live session ever used Indeed? I actually found a job using Indeed, which is funny because I was looking for a full-time position at a university, and it just happened to be listed there, but not easy to find on the institution's website. So using Indeed, I actually got to the job listing easier than if I were having to go through each institution's website and filter things out. You found your job through Indeed, Michelle? That's awesome. Yeah, me as well. I actually found Indeed to be, even though maybe like as a program it seems a little overwhelming with all the jobs that come up, I actually found it to be the one resource that I found a full-time job in. Cool. Sandy, have you ever used Indeed?
Yeah, I have
Just to
to.
search?
And I periodically look, just so, you know, you always like, even if you have a job, you just like
Just to see what's out there. Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, and I think Indeed can be really helpful
Yeah.
for part-time work too,
Yeah.
if you're trying to find a job to supplement something that you're already doing or multiple part-time jobs, because you can really search for things that are even temporary, a 6-month position. Virtually, yeah, remote. Yeah, some really neat stuff there. So there's that. So before we wrap up the session, I already kind of previewed what we're going to be doing to wrap up Module 2 and to begin Module 3. Are there any more questions that you all might have about the assignment that you're going to be doing using the 3 websites that Sandy presented, or just career questions in general, things you've been wondering, resources that we might be able to connect you to? Any questions that you have at all before we wrap up this session? So we are researching 2 careers for each website, correct? That's Michelle's question. Yes, Michelle, that is correct. So that way you get a chance to use all 3 websites, looking at 2 very different, not maybe necessarily very different, but 2 different career paths. It'll make a lot more sense once you guys get in there and start filling it out too. It's a good question, Michelle. Any other questions that you guys have? Okay. If you think of any, now does not have to be the only time you get to ask them. So feel free to send me an email or to email Sandy. I'm going to put the email address right back up on the screen in case you'd like to write that down. I'll post the PowerPoint presentation along with the video, and you'll see this in the recording as well if you forget. But you can email either myself or Sandy with any career questions you have. And if you just have questions about good resources for resume writing, or we're going to do some of that later in the term, or specific ways to use LinkedIn efficiently, or anything at all. We'd be happy to answer those questions if we have the answers, and if we don't, I'm sure we can think of other places to connect you to. So thank you again for joining us for the online live session. Again, I think it's just much more beneficial if you're able to be here every week and take part in the discussion and get clarification on questions. Remember, tonight is a deadline, so 11:59 p.m., Unit 2, Module 2. Get those assignments taken care of, and then you can begin working on Unit 3 and the career research worksheets assignments that we just discussed due Sunday night at 11:59. So otherwise, we will see you here again a week from today for another online live session. And thanks, they're saying thank you, Sandy,
thank you.
and thanks, Mrs. Crone.
Yeah.
You're very welcome, and thank you so much, Sandy, for being here and for joining us and sharing your resources with us. I'm sure it'll be very helpful as they begin exploring careers. So thanks, everyone. You are all set to go. Unless you have any other questions, you can stay on the chat for a little bit. I'll keep the session open. Otherwise, have a good rest of the day, and let me know if you have any questions.